For you to win, you have to have a breakthrough of belief. You have to change on a core level. Now, they probably didn't tell you this when you signed up with your company. But what I've discovered is between second base and third base, and between third base and home, that's where the magic happens. Between second base and third base, put the letter A as an action. Okay? So right now you got the letter B, which stands for B, or belief and education. And then between second base and third base, you have the letter A, which stands for action. Now between third base and home base, put the letter H as in habits. Now here's where I believe, this is my personal experience, here's where I believe you are going to have an aha experience. An aha experience. If you look at the AH or the HA, that's where the aha is. The aha is the breakthrough. It's the breakthrough of saying, oh, wait a minute. I thought this, but this isn't true. This is my truth right now. And it's in the process of having that aha experience that you have a breakthrough. So how does that happen? You have to get into action. You have to break past your fear and your excuses. And what's the one thing that's going to help you or assist you to get past your fear and your excuses? It's your desire. See, if your desire is to make an extra $5 a month or $50 a month, you're probably not going to do this. Because to go to work on yourself and to really to change and to reinvent yourself is going to require a lot of time and energy. Let's face it. Let's just go back to the way it was. It wasn't that bad after all. See, that's most people. Most people never want to look at themselves. They don't want to examine their beliefs, and they don't want to change. But I'm hoping that you're different, that you're like me. You want to change. You want to get out in the fear zone, in the unknown zone, and do things that you've never done. I think that's what life is all about. It's about living fully, okay? So the first thing you must do is you have to get into action. As scary as it is, that's where you're going to have your breakthroughs. See, guys, I've been around this for 10 years. I've seen people come in with a belief, I hope I can do this, I need to do this, I pray to God I can do this, I think I can do this, and then they buy a tape series. And they absolutely do nothing. They don't even listen to the tape series. Or they go to a seminar and they come back and they're the same as they were the week before, but they just, the only difference is they're less $500 in their pocketbook. Because they thought that going to this thing was going to change them. It's not true. Action, you taking action is the key. So what does that look like? It means picking up the phone, making trial calls, and playing this game. Talking to people about your product and your opportunity and following up with them that day or the next day to collect a decision. Yes, maybe, no, call me in a year, call me never, drop dead. I mean, I've heard them all. It doesn't matter. But you have to take action. It'd be like me telling you about black belt karate, and I'm lecturing you, and I'm the best lecturer in the world, and I've written 25 books about black belt karate, and you never get on the mat. You never even take off your shoes. You never even robe up. You never even show up. But you say, hey, Greg's got a great course on black belt karate. It's ridiculous. The only body that would be getting rich would be me. You would never learn how to do the karate unless you took off your shoes and got on the mat, showed up, and played the game, right? Okay. So here's what's going to happen with activity. There are 4 stages that you're going to go through, and this is probably what happened to you this week, and that's why I'm so glad you're on this call. There are 4 stages that you're going to go through between second base and third base under this quadrant called action. The first phase, and I went through this myself, and everybody goes through this, by the way, no matter what you're learning to do, if it's something new. The first stage you're going to go through is what we call unconscious incompetent. It's a big word, unconscious incompetent. What does it mean? It means that you don't have any clue. I mean, you're really clueless. You don't know that you don't know. It's like the guy that goes to the big meeting in Philadelphia and he signs up with the company and he runs home and he's so excited and he tells his best friend he's going to be a millionaire by next Tuesday. He doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have a clue. He is asleep at the wheel. He is unconscious incompetent. Now, here's the funny thing about it. The guy's incompetent, but he doesn't know he is. Now, this is what he does. He goes around and he just blabs and he tells everybody how rich he's going to be, and, oh, you got to get on this product because this product can change your life, and he loses all of his friends within a week. He's incompetent, and he's unconscious about it. He doesn't have a clue. Now, the next phase, and this is painful, this is where the pain comes. It's what we call conscious incompetent. Now, what's the difference? Well, we know that he's incompetent, just like the first stage, but the only difference is he's now conscious of the fact that he's incompetent. He wakes up. You know, I used to go to school when I was a kid. I hated school, by the way. My father would wake me up. I mean, he'd come so close to even throw water on me or pull off the covers. I hated to go to school. I hated to be woken up. I don't know about you, but I hate to be woken up. I like just to wake up. Now, when a person goes through this phase of unconscious incompetent to conscious incompetent, it's not a pretty picture. It is very painful. It's probably what you went through this week. If you know somebody that just got excited and signed up and they called their best friend and they had promised them they were going to do something and they're full of remorse and pain, this is what's going on. Conscious incompetent. It's the stage where most people quit. Okay, here's what happens. I have a dream. I want to make an extra $500 a month. I really see the big vision. I'm going to call some of my friends. I call some of my friends. They all tell me no. And by next Tuesday, you know what? Maybe I should take up golf. Maybe I should do something different with my life. Oh, you know what? Maybe the answer is the other company I heard about 5 years ago, or the new company, the Ground Floor Experience, that's going to come out that nobody knows about yet. See, this is what happens with people. They want to avoid the pain. So rather than going to work on themselves, they fall back into a different way of being or a different pattern, like I'm not good enough, something is wrong here, I don't know what I'm doing. And the pain is deep. It goes back to kindergarten. It goes back to first grade. It's this ability like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This is where most people quit. This is where they go, you know what, it ain't worth it. I mean, I know they told me it was only $40 to join, and I know they told me I only had to tell 2 people, and those 2 people would tell the world, and by the end of the month I'd be rich. But you know what? They didn't tell me that I had to face some of these things. They didn't tell me that I had to do this work. And you know what? It just is not worth it. I mean, yeah, I know I wanted to make an extra $1,000 a month, but you know what? Rather than facing this stuff, I'd rather go back to working for somebody else. And that's what the majority of people do, folks. That's what they do. Now, I'm hoping and I'm actually praying that you're different. Because if you will stay in this game, you will go to the next phase, which is conscious competent. What's conscious competent? This is what I did. When I first started in network marketing, direct sales, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was making mistakes left and right. I got professionally trained, read books, went to seminars, and I'm still going to seminars and still reading books and listening to tapes so that I can be the best I can be to assist you. Conscious competent is when you're beginning to get it. Like, you know, you're driving down the highway in the sports car and you're shifting the gears, you're putting your foot on the clutch, the brake, and you're not really having a struggle with it anymore. Like when you first maybe drove a stick shift, you had to think about it all the time. You're at the point where, yeah, you got to think about it, but you're competent. You're competent in driving the stick shift. You can put the foot on the brake and the gas, and you can actually maybe even listen to the radio or eat a burger while you're doing it. But you know what? You're thinking about it. It's like you got your hands on the wheel, and you're totally present. That's what prospecting will be like when you get to this phase. You get on the phone, you call Jan, you call Susan, you call Tom, you look at your business builder, you say, okay, now let me see what I got to do here. I got to write down the name in the prospect section. Okay, what's the name? All right, the name is Jan Smith. All right, now Greg said something about the fact that I got to put this over in the indexer. So I'm not really sure why I need to put it in the indexer, but I'm going to go over to the indexer and write it down under the S page. And then I think Jan told me to call her on Friday after she went to my website. So, all right, so Friday is the 24th. So what am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm going to put a little number there, and I'm going to write it down in that follow-up tickler schedule, and I hope I remember to call her. That's what you're at. That's what you're doing. And when you're on the phone talking to people about your product or your opportunity, you're also competent, but you're constantly thinking about it. Like, you know, you can't be thinking about something else while you're doing this. You have to be focusing all of your attention on the process of prospecting and following up, but you're getting it. You're beginning to get it, okay? It's what we call conscious competent. You're better, you're getting better, you're improving, but you really have to think about what you're doing every second, every minute, okay? All right, now, if you will stay in the game through the process of unconscious incompetent, which is now painful, by the way, because you're sleeping, to conscious incompetent, which is really painful, where a lot of you people probably hit the wall this week, to the next phase, conscious competent, the next phase is delicious. It's a new word. I'm using it as much as I can. It is delicious. It is what we call unconscious competent. Unconscious competent is when you pick up the phone, you start calling anybody and everybody, friends, relatives, strangers, and you're just rolling. You're in the zone. You're not thinking about what you're doing, and you're just there. You know, you think about these guys that play baseball or football or they play golf. They get in this place, this zone, where they're not thinking about it. The Olympics were not too long ago. These people are in the zone. I mean, I watch these guys and I go, man, are they really there? They're not there. You know, it's muscle memory. You look at a great artist, a singer. You know, Barry Manilow was just on PBS. This guy sang Mandy 1,000,000 times. He's not even there. It's just automatic. He's on automatic pilot. Unconscious competent. I get on the phone, I do live prospecting every single month, and I'm going to invite you to come on the calls to listen to me talk to Mary and Susan and Jane and Tom and Joe and Terry. I'm on autopilot. People say to me, what is this about? And I'm just there. Because, see, guys, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the last 5 to 10 years. So there's nothing that anybody's going to throw my way that I can't be there. And I also know that I can't say the right thing to the wrong person. There's no way that I'm going to get all 10 people to say yes to me. I know it's a numbers game. So what's going to happen if you stay in this game and you run the bases? Well, you have a certain belief, like, I hope I can do this. You have a little bit of education, and I hope I'm providing some of that education for you tonight. And then you get into action, which is probably going to be uncomfortable. It's probably going to be scary. But there's no substitute for it. There's no way that I can do this for you. You have to get out there, and you have to go through this game of unconscious incompetent, conscious incompetent, conscious competent, and then finally unconscious competent. I have a sports car, red, black interior. I can drive that sports car without even thinking. I don't even think about the clutch, the brake. I could be on the cell phone, though you're not supposed to be, listening to the radio, filling out my tax form. I can do 10 things at once because I don't have to think about it because it's so automatic. The same thing with prospecting, using the business builder, going through the learning curve. It takes time practicing the fundamentals, going through the activity that you'll have the breakthrough. All right? Now, the last phase of this diamond is between third base and home base, which is habits. This is where you have an aha. When calling and following up and prospecting and signing people up and bringing in customers and doing three-way calls all become a habit for you. Like if we took you off the phone and took the headphone away from you and took your business builder, you'd go into withdrawal. You wouldn't know what to do. You wouldn't even know where to find your TV because you took your TV and put it in the basement and boxed it up 5 years ago. I mean, you don't know what to do with yourself because prospecting and calling people and following up with people and doing three-way calls and helping your downline has become a habit. And you have broken through past beliefs. Remember the bowling ball at the top of the hour? Remember those transparent beliefs that hold you back, like this is too hard, I don't know if I can do this? All that stuff gets changed. That's where you have the aha. See the AH or the HA? That's where you have your breakthroughs. Like, oh, I thought this was going to be hard. This isn't that hard. This is easy. I just talked to 25 people, and one person said yes, and I found 2 customers. Interesting. What would it be like if I talked to 50 people? And then you start playing it differently. Now, what's going to happen? If you stay in the aha and get into action and create some habits, you are going to change your beliefs. You are going to change your mind. You are going to go from, I hope I can do this, or I need to do this, or I pray that God's going to help me to, you know what, I can do this. It's not a big deal. I can get on the phone and make 25 calls, and I can make $1,000 this week. Or I can do this, I can do that. Why? Because you've developed a sense of certainty. You've gone through the process. Now, what do most people do? They stay in the right side of the quadrant. They have a belief, they get educated, but they don't do anything. It's analysis of paralysis or paralysis of analysis. They get ready to get ready. They want to read the next book. They want to get to the next seminar. They want to hire the next guru. That's where they think the answer is. The answer is not me. The answer is you. And it's you taking action, going through the 4 stages which I talked about, creating habits of mind, changing your beliefs, and growing yourself into a different person. In a sense, you have to literally change. You have to change the way you are looking at things. And if you've ever listened to Wayne Dyer, he says when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So let me give you an example. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and write these letters down. Are you ready? Here's the first letter. The first letter is N as in Nancy. The next letter is O as in orange. The next letter is W as in West. The next letter is H as in Harry. The next letter is E as in East. The next letter is R as in red. And the next letter is E as in east. So take a look at this word. What does it say? Well, it depends on how you look at it. Some people would look at N-O-W-H-E-R-E and they would say this means nowhere. Other people would look at it and say it means now here. It all depends on how you look at it. So here are 4 things. Write these 4 things you are going to face in playing this business. Number 1, you are going to face rejection. People are going to tell you no. Next, you're going to face deception. That's where people tell you yes, but they really mean no because they don't want to hurt your feelings. The next thing you're going to face is apathy. These are people that are going to tell you this doesn't work and the product doesn't work and I got to talk to my doctor. They're just apathetic people. And believe me, you can't change them or save them. You just got to move on. And then the next thing you're going to face is attrition. So rejection, deception, apathy, and attrition. Those are the 4 things you're going to face. Now, if I told you that, and I know that you know that you're going to face rejection, deception, apathy, and attrition, then when you're out there playing this game and calling people, you're not going to be surprised because I've already told you. It's like me hiring you to play baseball with me. And I said, look, there's sometimes you're going to get a splinter when you're holding the bat. Or there's sometimes you're going to get hit in the head with the ball. Or sometimes the other fans are going to boo at you, or you're going to slide into home base and you're going to get dirty. Don't worry about it. This is what's going to happen. And by the way, sometimes we're going to get rained out, and sometimes we're going to lose. But you know what? It's just a game. You want to play? So if you know rejection, deception, apathy, and attrition are just part of it, then you can set yourself up to go through the learning curve to become an all-star, a winner in this game. So how do you change your focus from nowhere to now here? It all depends on what you focus on. Let me say that again. It all depends on what you focus on. See, we could have 2 people in a room. One guy could pick up the phone and call 10 people and get 10 no's. No, 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 and say, this doesn't work. I'm sick of it. I'm going back to work for Burger King. Okay? We could have another person that picks up the phone and calls 10 people and get no, 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 and they can say to themselves, okay, what did I learn from this experience? All right, Greg, how can I do this better so I can get different results? See, totally different attitude, totally different mindset. What's the key? The key is the questions that you ask yourself. Now, I want you to be aware of the questions that you're asking yourself as you're playing this game. You get out there, you call Sally. Sally tells you no. Sally tells you to drop dead. Sally says, oh, you kidding me? This is wrong. It's a pyramid. You're going to go to jail. When you hang up the phone, what are you thinking? What are the questions that are running through your mind? Like, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should go back to my teaching job. Maybe I should just kind of live my life quietly and go to the grave with my music in me. No, I don't know. This is going to require. And these are some of the thoughts that are going through your head. These are what we call disempowering questions. Another person could have the same experience, and instead of all that stuff going through their head, they're saying to themselves, okay, how can I become a better prospector? What can I learn from this experience, and who am I becoming? Okay, I got on the phone. I talked to 10 people today. They all told me no. But you know what? I at least did what I said. I put a square around the circle, and I feel good about myself. So we're going to ask you to really be aware of the questions that you're asking yourself when you're making the phone calls and when you're prospecting and playing the game. Are you asking yourself empowering questions, or are you asking yourself disempowering questions? This is all about awareness of the way you think. It all has to do with your beliefs. Do you see it as you're not here, or you're nowhere, or you're nowhere or now here? It all depends on how you look at it, your perception of it. So it's in the process of asking these questions, looking at your thoughts, looking at your feelings, looking at your results, that you have the ability to change your mind. Okay? So, for some of you that didn't do what you said you were going to do this week, for some of you that got discouraged or you hit the wall and you're feeling like quitting and you don't really know if you should even stick around this course or stick around direct sales network marketing, I'm going to tell you that if you change your mind, you will get different results. And here's a way to change your mind. We are motivated by two things, I believe. One is pain. We want to avoid pain, and we want pleasure. So these two powers, or these two things, pain and pleasure, have a way of motivating us. In other words, let me give you an example. Let's say you had a goal of talking to 5 people this week, but in your head, you perceived it as painful. So instead, you did something else. You cleaned your office. You got your taxes done, which probably was painful just as well. But the point is, this thing of pain and pleasure is dictating what you do and what you don't do. So let's say we played a game, and I told you that you had to talk to 100 people in the next 7 days about your product or about your business opportunity. And I told you that if you talk to 100 people, I would give you $1,000 for every single person that you talk to. Would that motivate you? If I made a deal with you and I had a lawyer and I signed a contract and I said, listen, Jan, if you talk to, or listen, Kathy, if you talk to 100 people this week about your product and your opportunity, it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if they say no, yes, maybe, call me in a year, drop dead, or I can't believe you're doing this. It didn't matter, because guess what? For every single person you had a conversation with, I would give you $1,000. That's a lot of money. What if I played that game with you? Would you be motivated to make those phone calls anyway? Would you change your mind? Would you even be thinking about what your best friend thought? And if you only talk to 99 people, would you call up the pizza delivery guy and say, oh, by the way, I want that pizza, but when you come to the door, I got a question for you? Or you call the operator and you say, look, I really don't looking for a number, but by the way, would you ever think about doing something else with your life? Would you be motivated just by the pure money alone to make those calls to 100 people if you knew with certainty I would give you $1,000 for every single name, up to 100? Would you talk to 100 people? Would you procrastinate? Would you put it off until Saturday night? Or would you start tonight? Let me give you another example. What if I told you if you didn't talk to 100 people in the next 7 days, you would lose your job, you would lose all of your assets, you would lose your home, you would lose your savings, you would lose your fingers, you would lose your health. In other words, some of the things we could control, some of them we can't. But the point is, it would be really painful. Like if we just pulled out your pinky nail, it'd be painful. What if we took away your kids? Would that be painful? What if we burnt down your house? Would that be painful? What if we took away your job? Would that be painful? What if you came down with a terminal disease? Now I'm being ridiculous, but I want to show you that we are motivated because we probably get on that phone and we'd call 100 people tonight. We'd probably stay up all night and call Hawaii. If we really believed either story, that we'd get $1,000 for every name, which would be motivated by pleasure, or we knew the consequences would be that our life would change dramatically. If we didn't do it, we would probably do it. We would be motivated by not wanting those terrible things. And by the way, they would never happen. I would never threaten you with any of that. But what if that's what would happen? Would you do it? Of course you would. You would get on the phone tonight, and you'd probably make 50 calls to 50 strangers tonight because you don't want to even take a chance, okay? So what if I could give you a game that could teach you this aspect of pain and pleasure without the grave consequences of all those things we just talked about? Because I'm certainly not going to give you $1,000, and I'm certainly not going to threaten you. But what if we could have you play your game, your business, your prospecting in such a way that you would be aware of pain and pleasure, which would motivate you to get into action and to break through some of the beliefs that are holding you back? I think we can, and it is called the money game. And here's what it is, and it's really easy and it's really simple. Here's how the money game works. Go to next week in your business builder. So you go to next week, which is a full week, and you take your Today tab and you place it right in the middle of next week. And the first thing you do before you go to bed tonight is you come up with a number of how many people you're going to talk to, weekly contact goal. Weekly contact goal for this week You write it on the left-hand top page, and you put that number there. Then, after you have that goal written down, then you break it down into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You put in your circles in the goal meter, which is on the bottom. So for Monday, you're going to talk to maybe one person or 5 people. It's up to you, or it's all depending on your desire, and it all depends on what you want to do in your life. So you put in your circles, one for Monday, one for Tuesday. Do the same thing for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, here's what you do. Let's say you have a goal of talking to 5 people on Monday, 5 people on Tuesday, and 5 people on Wednesday. Same thing for Thursday, and the same thing for Friday. So you're going to be talking to 25 people this week. You go out and you get 5 pennies or 5 quarters or 5 dimes or 5 nickels. It doesn't matter. And you put the 5 nickels next to your phone, next to your business builder. And you pick up the phone and you do a trial call. Now, if you had a chance to listen to Peter Mingles last week, fabulous information. If you didn't have a chance because of conflict or because of something came up, you definitely want to listen to Peter Mingles this Tuesday and Wednesday. And to get that information, go to www.gregdwyer.net and click on leads, and you can contact him directly. He'll give you the passcode and the times. This information is very, very valuable. Okay, so he's going to be doing this on Tuesdays and Wednesdays of this week coming up. So you got your 5 pennies or your 5 dimes, your 5 quarters that represents the 5 people that you're going to talk to on Monday. In addition, you go and you get $2 bills. $2 bills for Monday, $2 bills for Tuesday, $2 bills for Wednesday. You do the same thing for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So each day you have some coins which represent how many people you're going to talk to that day. And then you have $2 bills, 2 singles, stapled together or paper clipped together, and you put them right next to your phone and right next to your business builder. Now, this is only for people that want to have a breakthrough this week. This is not for people who want to stay the same. This is for people who want to have an aha experience and get out of their comfort zone and do something that they've never done before, okay? And I'm telling you, it's going to get you different results if you play this as a game. Here's the game. You have the goal of talking to 5 people. So you pick up the phone, you do your trial call, you have your conversation with the warm market or cold market or whoever you want, and as soon as they answer the phone, like if you're calling Stacy, you go, "Hello, Stacy, this is Denise," and you go into your, whatever you say, whether your upline's telling you what to say or you're listening to Peter or whatever you think to say. And it depends. I mean, let's face it, you're calling your best friend, you're not going to be reading a script, hopefully. I mean, people call me all the time and say, "Greg, what do I need to say to my warm market?" I said, "Well, what would you say to your warm market if they were your friend? Just talk to them like they're your friend." So you get on the phone, you pick up the penny. As soon as they answer the phone, you drop it in a jar, or you move it from the left side of the desk to the right side. It doesn't matter. But you're counting with the pennies, okay? Now, here's your goal. Your goal for that specific day is to move all those coins from one area of the desk to the other area of the desk, or to drop them in a jar. When I used to do this, I dropped them in a jar. Now, for me, I felt complete. I felt happy. I felt successful if I were to get all of those pennies from one side of the desk into the jar and I didn't care what the person said. I didn't even care what I said because I knew I was just practicing and I knew I was just learning this and I knew I wasn't going to be perfect. But I knew that I could get on the phone and I could talk to 5 people in an hour and I could move those 5 pennies from one side to the desk into the jar and be done. Now, if they said yes, I was happy. If they said no, I was happy. Because for me, in my mind, I won the game if I moved all of the pennies or quarters or whatever into the jar, okay? So in my mind, I'm playing a totally different game than the guy who I call. See, the guy that I'm calling is thinking, oh, he's got to get a yes to be happy, or he's got to sign me up to be happy. I'm not playing that game. Not playing that game at all. The game that I'm playing is the pennies into the can game, or the pennies into the coffee cup game. That's it. And I'm just playing and practicing and working on my swing and working on going through unconscious incompetent to conscious competent to unconscious competent. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on being a better person, a better prospector. And at the end of the night, if I got 5 people telling me no, I go to bed with a smile on my face because I took those 5 pennies and I moved them over and I put them in the jar. And I'm not thinking to myself, oh, no, I called 5 people and everybody told me to drop dead, and I'm depressed and I don't know what to do with my life. Because in my mind, I've changed the game. I've changed the mind. I've changed the rules because my game is the pennies, okay? Now, here's the pain. Are you ready for the pain? Has nothing to do with fingernails, has nothing to do with taking kids away from parents, has to do with $2 bills. What you do is you keep the $2 bills right next to the pennies or quarters. If you do not do what you said you were going to do, you have to take those $2 bills and rip them up. You have to destroy them. You have to shred them. You have to burn them. You have to destroy them. You can't give them to charity. You can't move them to the next day and double up. It's not about that. It's about ripping this money up and destroying. I think it's against the law, so we might, call somebody and they'll put you in jail. Just kidding. But the point is, most people don't want to rip up the money. They don't want to. They perceive ripping up a $1 bill or $2 or $5 to be really painful. Most people are going to do anything to avoid ripping up those $2 bills, which means getting on the phone, dialing until you find somebody that you have a conversation with, and that's the game. It's called the money game. What you're doing is you're putting in your circles and squares in your business builder every single day, but you're playing it with this accountability system of the dollars and the coins. Now, this is not for everybody. If you don't want to play this game, you don't have to. But if you want to experience with a different way of looking at this, changing your mind and playing with a different level of pain and pleasure, which, by the way, you're playing with pain and pleasure anyway. But what we're doing is we're changing this. We're changing this so that you see this totally different, so that you get different results. In other words, we're taking the bowling ball out of your hand and we're handing you a baseball. And we're saying, look, let's play this way, okay? So, if you want to play this, and you don't have to, take out a piece of paper and write today's date, and then write down, and then put your name, will play the money game, and then sign it. That's all you have to do. It's a declaration. You are making a commitment. Now, here's how you win the game. You win the game by keeping your word. That's how you win the game. See, you don't win the game by getting all of the pennies in the jar. You win the game by keeping your word. What if you call me next week and you say, Greg, I'm struggling. I had a goal of talking to 10 people this week, and I ripped up every single piece of dollar. I ripped up all the singles. I would say to you, you've won the game. You've won the game because you've kept your word. See, the reason why most people don't succeed in this business is they're not people of their word. They say they're going to make $1 million. They say they're going to make $100. They say they're going to do this, but they're not people of their word, because when something wrong goes, they have an excuse. If you play this game full out with the pennies or the quarters and the $2 bills, and whether you rip up the money or you drop the money in, as long as you do what you say you're going to do, in my mind, in my eyes, you're successful. So if you want to play the money game, put today's date, write down, I will play the money game. I know your people in your household are probably going to think you're crazy, and you probably think that I'm crazy even asking you to do this. But this is a way that you can use leverage on yourself, and you can change the rules of the game so that you can pick up the phone and call anybody. Because what do you care what Aunt Susan says to you? Really? Because your goal is to drop the pennies in so you don't have to rip the $2 up. And in the meantime, you can go to bed with a big smile on your face knowing that you won, even when the two people that you called told you no. Or worse yet, they said, please don't ever talk to me about this again. And in your mind, you don't feel bad because you won. Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity every single Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We do a business activity review call, and all you can do is call in if you like and tell us your numbers, and that will give you the sense of accountability to get out there and to play this game and to win. Let me leave you with a last story, and then we're going to close. Harry Houdini used to write on his books when he used to sign his books, and this is what he would say: my brain is the key that sets me free. When people would want an autograph, he'd write, Harry Houdini, my brain is the key that sets me free. Now, why did he write that? I think he wrote that because a lot of people thought he had supernatural powers. He didn't have supernatural powers. He just thought about things differently than most people thought about. Let me give you an example. One of the tricks or one of the escapes that Harry Houdini would do is he would lock himself in a safe, and he would escape. And the people would ask themselves the question, how did Harry Houdini do that? He must have some supernatural power. That's amazing. And that's the questions that they would ask themselves. They would go down that road and they would never figure it out. Now, Harry Houdini thought differently. That's why he would say, my brain is the key that sets me free. Harry Houdini knew that a safe was meant to keep people out, not in. He knew that. So for Harry Houdini to get into a safe and be locked in the safe, to get out was not a big deal. It didn't require supernatural powers. He thought differently, and he asked himself different questions. That's why he wrote, my brain is the key that sets me free. Guys, if you want to win this game, you have to think differently. Your diamond mind is the key that will set you free. Reframing it and looking at it differently and playing a different game than the masses is what's going to allow you to live with the classes and be successful. Having a desire, being disciplined, and getting past your disappointments, most people can't handle that. But your diamond mind is the key that will set you free. The questions, the focus, everything that you think about will assist you to think about this game at a different level and will create what you want to create based on what you desire, based on your discipline, and based on you getting over your disappointments. Because I told you at the beginning of this call, you are going to face rejection, deception, apathy, and attrition. So let me leave you with this. You're standing on a diamond mine of potential. If you found yourself this week hitting the wall, struggling, procrastinating, the answer is simple. Change your mind. So next week we're going to talk about third base, which is how to connect with people, which is dialogue. Learning how to connect with people, learning how to influence people is the key in this business. And we're going to spend about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes talking about that next week. This week your homework is simple. If you want to play the money game, play it. If you want to just get out there and play with the circles and squares and call people, call people. But remember, you got to take some action. Get out there, have fun, and play the game, whether it's the money game or the numbers game. Because, guys, it's just a game. So will you? Will you step up to the plate and play the game? I hope that you will, and I hope that you'll join me next week. Make it a great week. Bye-bye, everybody.